Hi, I'm Beth from AbeBooks, and today we're here to recommend some classic books to you. There's a quote from Mark Twain that goes something like, "A classic book is a book which everybody praises but nobody reads." And I think it's easy to feel that way. It's intimidating. If you think about all 1,200 pages of War and Peace, it's easy to give up before you've even begun. But the classics are the classics for a reason, and any serious book lover will probably want to explore at least some of them. So we've made a list of 10 classic books you should actually read. Take it with a grain of salt. This is just our preference, and we've left off countless. But it's a good place to start. First published in 1851, this is the story of a sailor's single-minded pursuit of a colossal white sperm whale. It has one of literature's most famous opening lines, "Call me Ishmael," and is a very famous story of madness and obsession. The Catcher in the Rye was a very controversial book. It's a classic that's not only worth a visit, but also a revisit, because many readers have reported a very different experience with the book in adolescence as in adulthood. Whether you love or hate Holden Caulfield, it's a book that provokes strong reactions in many, and it was groundbreaking for its time. A love story set in early 19th century England, it would be easy to write off Pride and Prejudice as just a romance novel, but there's so much more going on here. The story follows Elizabeth Bennet as she navigates the polite minefield of marriage, morality, and more. If you're going to read just one Jane Austen book, this is it. The Great Gatsby is an excellent example of 20th century literature. While it's easy to get caught up in the opulent, lavish lifestyle and parties of Jay Gatsby, under the surface there's a lot more here, exploring themes of emptiness and the desperate lengths to which men will go to achieve what they think they want. This is perhaps my favorite book considered classic literature. It was written in 1960. To Kill a Mockingbird is the only book that Harper Lee ever wrote, and it was so brave and forward-thinking for the time, and introduced us to one of literature's most powerful characters, Atticus Finch. If you haven't read it, go read it, seriously. In Ray Bradbury's unforgettable 1953 novel, there are still firemen, but instead of putting out fires to save lives, they set fires to burn books. It's a chilling tale of a world where censorship has won, and information is boiled down to brief sound bites to keep the masses stupid. In the modern world where Twitter reigns supreme, it's especially interesting to read now. Set in the Great Depression in California, Of Mice and Men is a beautiful story of friendship and loyalty that explores darker themes as well, such as racism and mental illness. Its juxtapositions of cruelty and kindness, poverty and privilege make it a novel not to be missed. Unfortunately, it was accused as vulgar or crude by some and is on the American Library Association's list of most challenged books. And speaking of challenged books, another book to make that list is Mark Twain's Huckleberry Finn, most probably because of its liberal use of language which by today's standards are unacceptably racist. It tells the story of Huckleberry Finn, a young vagabond, and his rafting adventures. Critics of the book decry it for glorifying a parentless existence and too much freedom for a young boy, but in truth, Huckleberry Finn is lonesome and longs for a family and a real home. Popular colloquial terms such as Big Brother, the Thought Police, and the 2-Minute Hate are all from this novel, George Orwell's 1984, which again was absolutely groundbreaking for the time. Much like Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451, it's particularly interesting to read this classic in a modern context. Even the adjective Orwellian, which has come to mean rigidly controlling, dictatorial, or fascist, is probably a direct result of this novel.